Hey guys, this is Brad Lincoln from Pathway To Aus, and today I'm going to have a quick chat to you about the process of transitioning courses or changing institutions from what your visa was granted for. Now recently, the process has become a little bit more difficult for a student to change into a new program with a new education provider, but I'll try to give you a rundown on how this process works and what you need to do to sort of get underway with this type of thing. Now, very important aspect of this is understanding what your primary course is. A lot of students who come to Australia will be enrolled in a package of courses. So to give you an example of this, a student might be enrolled in a Diploma of Business and then followed by a Bachelor of Business. So the diploma going for a year, the bachelor going for 3 years, giving them a student visa for say around 4-year period. The primary course in that scenario is the bachelor program, because your primary course is always going to be the highest level program you are enrolled with that your student visa was granted for. So with the main rule and the main change with changing courses, it is that you have done 6 months of your primary course. Okay, so this means in that scenario I mentioned before, 6 months of that bachelor program before you can look at changing institutions and changing programs. However, this does not mean that you cannot change courses before that 6-month period. It is just quite an in-depth process to do so, and every institution has a slightly varying process on how this works. But I'll try and give you a general overview of how you can seek a release from your current provider and what is involved to do so. So step 1, getting all the right forms and documents. Okay, so this is a pretty easy part of the release process. Now, what you'd need to do is go to your Student Services Centre at your institution or speak to someone in the admin team and ask them for the documents you need to seek a release from your institution. Now, when completing these documents, you have to be very thorough, be very detailed and very honest about your reasons for why you're seeking a release from your current course. Now, the reason I say that is the institutions will definitely ask you to back it up with evidence and proof as to why you are seeking this release. So with that process, it's very important to be very honest with the documents you're providing and the statement that you're providing for your release, because the institution will look into this. Now, some of the key factors they're going to be looking at when evaluating your application for release are: does the transfer align with the student's current study plan and educational background? Is the student's transfer in the student's best interest? And has the student demonstrated difficulties in their current course? Now, that is the main 3 things that the school is going to be looking at when evaluating your application for a release. What you need to understand as a student is the reason that they will be looking to refuse that application for release. Now, if the institution believes that you are not doing this for the right reasons, they do not have to release you. Some of the reasons that are not good for a release are wanting to change to a new course because the fees are lower, wanting more time to work, wanting a program with less class time, feeling homesick, or owing fees to your current provider. Now that's an important one, because if you do owe any fees to your current provider, there is no chance any form of release is going to be processed until those fees are brought up to date. So when submitting your application for release to the institution, the processing time can vary depending on your provider. On average, they have about a 30 working day period that they're allowed to evaluate that application. Now, in that time, they can also request further information. For example, if you're wanting to withdraw from your class due to medical reasons, they will ask you to provide a doctor's certificate to support that reasoning and why you should be released from your current provider. And also, they're going to ask you why a new provider will benefit your health and things of that nature. So this is where it goes back to what I was saying before in the first step. Make sure you're being honest, because if you're not being honest, you will get caught out and that application will not be processed. One of the most important things with this as well is knowing that if the application goes through, it doesn't get, you don't get the outcome you were hoping for. So in terms of things, you don't get released from your provider. Now, What will happen is they will notify you of this in writing. It's a requirement that they do so, and you will then be eligible to appeal that decision if it didn't go in your favour. Now, with the appeal process, you must lodge an application or a letter stating that you want to appeal the decision that was made. This appeal will then go to higher levels of management within the institution to evaluate your application. Now, generally speaking, what happens in this process is they will request that you come in for a face-to-face meeting. They will go over your application for release, as well as the documents you have provided in terms of evidence for your reasoning. And also, they will talk to you about your future study plans. So how this new course is going to benefit you in the future, why you're getting released, all that type of thing. What has changed, basically, since you got your student visa. If after that whole process, that doesn't go again in your favour, you only have one option left as an international student, and that is to contact the State Ombudsman. Now, going into this side of things, it starts to get pretty intense because they're going to work with you and the school to find a resolution. Now, the Ombudsman is very much by the book. They don't sort of negotiate too much. If the rules are there and you as a student has not met the rules or followed the process correctly, they're always going to find in the favour of the institution. Not to say that it won't come out in your favour, but you've got to have everything prepared, just like in step one. All your evidence, all the documents completed, and the process followed properly. Now, also, as I said previously, these processes can vary from institution to institution. So it is extremely important that when you want to start this process, you speak to staff members relevant to this area and make sure you have a clear understanding of what is involved to seek a release from your institution, because they're not always the same. Times can vary, forms can vary, things like that. Basically, this is where Pathway to Aus comes into it, is because getting the right information at the start of your studies generally means you're not going to be trying to seek a release from your current provider, because you've gone into the right course from the start, you know where you're headed, and the course you want to study is going to get you to the end goal, wherever that may be. So at Pathway to Aus, we do understand that things change. Institutions and courses may not live up to your expectations, and we are more than happy to help and assist in any way that we can for any student looking to sort of transition into a new program. So if you do have any further questions or would like to have a chat with the team here at Pathway to Aus, please do not hesitate to contact us via the phone, on Facebook, or the website, or you can stop into the office at any time for a chat. Thanks.